you for coming to my channel today. As you can see, I am sort of, everything is cluttered currently and out of order, but I have a need to share with you my books to be read, as well as the books that I previously discussed with you on booktube. So I will just pull some books that I've had on my bookshelf for years and give you those titles and what I think of those and how I look forward to getting through those books. My previous videos talked about the books that I'm currently reading, and I am gradually moving through those books, finding some of them very interesting. Some that includes short stories the stories are very interesting, but I think the stories in one of the books have a common theme, so we'll discuss that very briefly here in just a few moments. So what I'm going to do is go through this stack of books that you see here in front of me. Everything's in front of me right now, so I feel a little bit squeezed in between my microphone, my books, my laptop. All right, so I'm going to start with this stack here. As I showed you, the stack is going to be where I start. These are the books that are on my shelf that I have a strong desire to get through. You may have remembered, if you are here for the first time, thank you so much for being here. But previously I stated how I love books, and I've had some of my books forever. I refuse to depart from my books. So here we are. The first book on my list that I plan to get through, I love the movie, and it's called Pride and Prejudice. You can see the name there, by Jane Austen. Now, I love the movie, the Jane Austen Book Club. Absolutely love that movie. Now I love the movie Pride and Prejudice. I can't wait to get started reading this book. As it is now, I started with the movie, and I am so excited to begin to read the novel. And I know it's going to be way better, or much better than the movie. So I can't wait to get through it. I have my little bookmark here, and the bookmark shows you that I started reading this, and I am on the second page of chapter 1. I'm excited. So I have to first get through the other books that I've discussed already with you. All right. So that's my first book that I'll be plowing through. Not really, taking my time, because I'm sure it's some very good writing. The Thornbirds. Now, this is a novel. To be honest with you, I saw the movie. I loved the movie, but I want to read the book. I absolutely loved the actors in the movie. I'm looking for Father Ralph Shire, whatever his name is coming to mind, but I wonder if that's correct. Oh, I just absolutely loved the movie. And when Stewie shot that wild hog or wild boar, I was just a very young child when I saw the movie, but I was just captivated by this movie. So I cannot wait to begin reading this story. It's so exciting to me to have this on my plate to devour. The Thornbirds. Oh my gosh. All right, now this is something I picked up. I don't know if I'm going to like this guy, William Faulkner, Collected Stories. I don't know. I read something recently. I started reading a novel by him recently, and I swear it was just like Oh my God. I don't know. I found myself, well, it was the story that I was reading. Maybe it was just that story that got me off kilter. But yeah, I kind of want to know Faulkner. I've known of this author for ages, forever. And yeah, I want to get to know William Faulkner's works. All right, the next book on my to be read is called America's First Daughter. It's a New York Times bestseller, and it's by, the author is Stephanie Dre and Laura Kimoy. Now, I love the cover of this book. I absolutely love the cover. It's beautiful, and it just gives me a feeling of, it makes me think that it's going to be somewhat of a romantic book, as well as pretentiousness. I'm not sure if that's what I want to say there, but still, I look forward to diving into this book. The next book is another book of short stories, and a number of authors, well-known authors: Hemingway, James Joyce, Virginia Woolf, Leo Tolstoy, D.H. Lawrence. Oh my gosh. These are great authors, and I cannot wait to dive into this book of short stories. Delicious. All right, the next book I have on my list is another book of short stories. Now, these are on my bookshelf, and I really have great intentions on getting through the short stories. A lot of other great authors here. F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby. Oh, Ernest Hemingway again. Nathaniel Hawthorne. Great writers here. Cannot wait. Jack London. Now, Jack London is, well, in Oakland, California. There is an area of Oakland, California called Jack London Square. I loved going to Jack London Square, and they had a statue of Jack London there. And I wasn't really curious about him at that time. I knew he was an author, but now I'm so curious to really read his works. Actually thrilled. Jack London Square in Oakland, California. A landmark. The next book on my to-be-read list is Frankenstein. I saw the movie. I had no idea the background of Frankenstein. Written by Mary Shelley. Now, I've come to know that she wrote this novel, and it was a masterpiece. I've heard people rave about the book. And I kind of wish that early on in my life, my childhood, my parents, my guardians, whomever was taking care of me at the time, had encouraged reading. We kind of got a lot of our information through movies. And it was a great movie, but it sure is not the book, the movie. So, can't wait. Okay, once again, here is F. Scott Fitzgerald and The Great Gatsby. Here again, I've seen the movie, loved the movie, especially when the author talks about writing. And I just love Tobey Maguire talking about, well, I loved his monologue. I loved his acting in the movie. It was just absolutely fantastic. And here's another book that I plan to read, get on my to-do list as soon as possible. Jonathan Franzen, The Corrections. Now, I remember this book not so much for its content, but the fact that it was very controversial. At the time that it was a bestseller, Oprah had selected it for her Book of the Month Club, and man, did he not like that. And I don't know the flavor of the talk around his book and his rejection, but it was an issue, and I can't wait to see what this is all about. The corrections. So what I'm going to do here is do a switcheroonie, and that means restacking these books because I tell you it's getting out of hand. So, okay, I don't have space here. My place is still disorganized, but it's getting there. All right, so the next book on my list, I've started to read this slightly, just a few pages, and I kind of like what I've read so far. It's called Blush by Jamie Brenner. I wonder if she's related to Yul Brynner. Well, whatever. Blush. So far, so good. I'm liking the first chapter, the first few pages that I've read. And basically, it's about a family. The Hollander women discovered that the scandalous books of the past may just be the key to saving their family's future. Interesting stuff there, so can't wait. Now, I've begun to read Tony Bennett because I love jazz and I love singing. And Mr. Bennett wrote a few books, and this is one I'm reading now. And basically, it just lists all of the people, a lot of people that he met, and the specific thing that he remembers about that person is mentioned in this book, and how they helped him in his career. So I'm really excited to get into reading this, and it's high on my list, and I think this was recently published. But anyway, he talks about all the great singers from yesteryear who helped him in his career. Mr. Tony Bennett. The next book on my list is by Anne Purry. Now, Anne Purry wrote a book. This book is called Midnight at Marble Arch. Midnight at Marble Arch. Can't wait to get into this book. I have no idea who she is, but I always love the name Anne. It's a nice name. I can read a little bit here. It states that, I'll just read the first paragraph. In this superbly accomplished New Charlotte and Thomas Pitt adventure, Anne Purry takes us beneath the glittering surface of wealthy Victorian society into a nightmare world of fear and intimidation, where women are too often blamed for the violent attacks against them, and powerful men take what they want, leaving others to pay the price. Interesting. All right, moving on. The next book I have, which is something I just adore her, and sorry that she passed without me ever meeting her, Tina Turner. I think I might have had the opportunity to meet her when she returned to the stage after leaving Ike. She was in San Francisco at the Fairmont Hotel performing, and I lived in Oakland, and I could have easily crossed the Bay Bridge to go see the Tina Turner show at the Fairmont Hotel. What What a missed opportunity that was. All right, the next book I have to be read here is called Bel Canto, which is a New York Times bestseller. Actually, it is the winner of the Orange Prize, National Book Critics Circle Award finalist, Faulkner Award. So she won the Faulkner Award. I read the first few pages of this book, and let me tell you, there's an opera singer singing, and the lights go out, and everybody swore that they saw the opera singer being kissed by the accompaniment. Now, singing, Bel Canto is the title. I have a great interest in this so far because I did study a little bit of opera years ago, and it sort of captured me in the first few pages. So I'm looking forward to finishing that. And the final book to be read on my list is The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. Now, I hear good reports about his works. I've never read Oscar Wilde, and this is a book of plays. 4 plays, maybe 5. And given that I recently wrote a play, I'm very interested to just get captivated by Mr. Wilde, hopefully. Yes. So I'll just put these back in order or just stack them up again, because if I don't, I'm going to have a spill on my floor here, and I won't be too happy about that. All right, so I'm just going to briefly go over the books that I am currently deliberately reading to get through. Well, let me just say once again, I read Misty Copeland's book, loved it. Still can't wait to find out if there's an adult version. This is the YA version of her story about dance. And I'm so fascinated about dancers because I was once enthralled, or just I was so captivated and really putting a lot of effort into dance. I love the atmosphere. I love the body work. Another book that I love is called, and I discussed it already, 50 Shades of Grey. It's all about sex. It wasn't as captivating. I think there was so much redundancy there and so much sex to the point where it was monotonous, and I kind of couldn't wait to get to the end of it. It didn't end exactly the way would have liked it to have ended, but it was interesting to read something like this and to know that something like this exists. People making contracts for sex in a consensual relationship. Anyway, interesting. Now here's a book I'm still working on. It's called The Alchemist. I have not finished it. I started this book maybe years ago, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And I didn't finish it because I was distracted, but now that I have booktube, I'm excited to get through it and to let you know how I feel about this book. I've heard rave reviews, but I want to experience it for myself. Okay, I'm reading and really enjoying this book, The Witness by Nora Roberts. Absolutely interesting. She's written so much, and this book has captivated me. The little girl who's the witness, she's intelligent, she's strong, determined, and I'm loving it. I just want to sit down and read it to the end. Right now, there's a chase going on. She has been discovered. She was under protective custody, and somehow that was breached, and now she's on the run. And it's almost unbelievable. She's only 17 or 18 years old. But anyway, I'll get more into that. I'm loving the story. James Baldwin. I'm still reading it. I've read at least 4 stories, and it seems like there's a theme throughout those stories of struggle, of strife, of hard times, sorrow, blues, pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps kind of thoughts, struggling to hold on to your pride and your dignity. I read The Rock Pile, which deals with kids, and eventually a fight on the rock pile where one kid is injured, not seriously, but injured. I read The Man-Child. Oh, that's a sad story about farmers who were the son of farmers, and just a tragic story. I read Going to Meet the Man, finally, Going to Meet the Man. I've had this book on my shelf for ages. Never had time to get through the stories. I'd start and you stop because you get distracted and you're not really, you want to find a way to use this information. You want to find a way to have conversations, engaging conversations. But when you're reading and you don't have that kind of stimulation amongst your friends, it's a loss. It's a loss of communication. It is an art form. It's an art form that is slowly seeping away. And I think booktube and this process that I'm going through now is lovely. And I can't wait to talk to you more about your books, as well as join a book club. That's one of my things I'd love to do very soon. One more book that I'm reading called Jazz in the Bittersweet Blues of Life. There's a truck going by. Written about Wynton Marsalis, and the author of this book is Carl Viglin. Very, very interesting story about jazz and playing the music and really consuming the music and applying it to life, your philosophy in life. It's a beautifully good written story about jazz and what its true meaning is to the soul. I got that from this book, and I want to read it again just to really define what I felt, because I think some of the writing was kind of like a jazz song. The many emotions that you can go through in a jazz song. But yeah, I need to really get back to this book because there's more to it than I'm speaking of right now. The next book is called A Religion of One's Own. Now, this is nonfiction by Thomas More. I thought perhaps this would be something other than nonfiction. I was looking for a short story, but it isn't. It's basically telling you how to create your own religion in a world that is becoming religionless here in America. I presume is what he is implying, but I still have yet to get through it. I'm getting somewhere, and yeah, it's really gives you exercises on how to create a religion of your own and what that means. The next book is I spoke to you about the culture of narcissism. I'm still getting through this by Christopher Lash. Still getting through this. Here again, a nonfiction book, basically giving a lot of historical facts, opinions. So I'm really excited. If anything, I'd like to read this book twice because it has so much value based upon the title. I love it. I did tell you that I was going to get through numerology, the romance in your name. Numerology, the romance in your name. There again, one of my oldest books on my shelf. I absolutely love it. I'll be getting through that too. And here, my last book to just review with you, and I'm still reading it, and it's called Strategies in Prose. And I fell in love with this when I was in love with prose right out of high school. And it's short stories by famous authors with questions after the story. So it's basically a book. It helps you to recognize that, well, let me see if I can just sum it all up here. I may have to give you a better idea of what it is later in my next video, but I'm going to be reading short stories from here and just giving you the sort of questions that will be asked, or that is asked or listed here after each story. So I love this. I love the idea of getting a deeper perspective of each story based upon the questions that are asked. So yeah, this is written by Wilfred Farrell and Nicholas Salerno. Yep. So yeah, it says here, the study questions at the end of each selection are intended to help you read the selection critically and to assist in analyzing the writer's method and techniques. I love that. So there you are. My next video here. I hope that I didn't bore you, and I kind of like my books. There are a few there that are going to be tough, that are nonfiction, that may bore me to tears, but I'll stop when I have to stop and move on to the next book, and we'll discuss that as well. Thank you for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. And please hit the like button and subscribe.